Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today I want to talk about Justin Fields' performance from last night, and boy was that a lot of fun. Before we get started today, I just wanted to mention you can follow me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY, and if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to the podcast. New episode drops on Wednesday. You can call in, leave me a question. I'll try to get to it on the show. So last night, I was hanging out with Ryan from Jets Talk 24/7 and Green Bean over on Jets Talk 24/7's channel. We were live streaming during the Clemson-Ohio State game. And going into that game, obviously I was a little upset because with the Jets locked into the number 2 pick, that means Trevor Lawrence is out of the question. And now we are looking at either Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, trading back, taking Penny Sewell. But last night, I want to talk about Justin Fields' performance because that was truly remarkable from what we saw out of this kid in a huge spot against a Clemson team that, frankly, probably should have won that game pretty handily. So Fields went 22 of 28, 78.6 completion percentage, 385 passing yards, 6 passing touchdowns, and 1 interception. The 6 passing touchdowns is the same amount of number of incomplete passes that he had on the game. He played tremendous. To me, the biggest thing was it wasn't the 6 touchdown passes necessarily. It was his toughness that he put on display. After clearly getting hurt, he took a shot to the ribs pretty early in the game, and then he didn't really run too much after that. And the Clemson forced him to throw the ball. And guess what? He could throw. He looked phenomenal throwing, and his deep ball looked even better. There was maybe one pass where he had a touchdown. It was a deep pass on the right side, and he overthrew him by about a half a yard. Outside of that, the deep ball accuracy was very, very good from Justin Fields. Now, the interception in the end zone was not a good play. Obviously, that was the quote-unquote black eye of the performance. He was really hobbled at that point. It was pretty much right after that injury. So I'm not going to get on him so much for that. Yes, you don't want to obviously make a throw like that, and that's probably the biggest critique of Justin Fields is his decision-making and his ability to read the field. He's a touch slow on that for at this point in his career, but none of these guys are really perfect prospects. Trevor Lawrence is probably the closest thing to a perfect prospect, but Justin Fields and Zach Wilson are both really, really good prospects, excellent prospects, actually, elite level prospects. And you can find flaws in their game, but you could find things that a lot of people like. And honestly, I don't think you can go wrong either way with Justin Fields or Zach Wilson at pick number 2. Now, here's the thing. I personally like Zach Wilson as quarterback 2. That doesn't mean I don't like Justin Fields. Justin Fields is a touch below at quarterback 3 for me in my rankings. Honestly, I think those two are interchangeable. And unfortunately, in the internet age and on YouTube, in comment sections, on Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff, it seems like you have to take a stance and stick by it and hate the other person. Like if I like Zach Wilson as my second quarterback, that automatically means that I hate Justin Fields. That's not how I feel at all. I just have a slight preference. And honestly, like I said, either one of those picks or either one of those kids, you can make the case for the Jets taking them at 2, and I don't think either would be a mistake. It all depends on what Joe Douglas prefers out of a quarterback and what the next coach prefers out of a quarterback. The only mistake that I think you could make is either trading back or taking Penny Sewell and banking on Sam Darnold. The reason why I think both of those things are a mistake, we'll start with trading back. You are taking a massive risk if you are trading back, and sure, you can get more assets, but it's not like the Jets are lacking assets. They have a top 2 pick, another first-round pick from the Jamal Adams trade, a second-round pick. If you trade Sam Darnold, you could get another second-round pick, most likely, 2 third-round picks. So that would be 6 picks in the first 3 rounds this year. So it's not like they don't have the assets. And if you do move back, then you are taking a huge risk that the guy you really like, again, whether it's Fields or Wilson, will not be there when you are making the selection. Let's talk about this for a second. If you're trading out of 2, there's likely 2 things happening. One, a team is either coming up to take a quarterback, which would mean that you are giving up on the opportunity to draft Justin Fields or Zach Wilson, or a team is trading to get ahead of Miami so they could take Penny Sewell. If that's the case, wouldn't you think Miami would trade out of 3 if that's where they end up picking from the Texans pick, and then another quarterback needy team would come up and get a quarterback? So you're taking a massive gamble, and I don't think you should do that. You should take whichever quarterback you prefer in that spot. The thing with banking on Sam Darnold and taking Penny Sewell is great. You can have Mekhi Becton, Penny Sewell. I'm not saying that Penny Sewell is a bad player by any stretch of the imagination, but when you have a quarterback whose ceiling right now seems like maybe if everything works out, he could be an Alex Smith type of player where he turns his career around like that. You're not going to win like that. That's a huge gamble, and more likely than not, he isn't going to figure it out here with the New York Jets. Maybe he does somewhere else. If he goes to San Francisco, he goes to New Orleans, he goes to Pittsburgh and sits for a little bit and then gets a chance, maybe he can, but that is a massive gamble. And when you are staring two really good prospects in the face in Zach Wilson or Justin Fields, that's a mistake. To me, I think there are four really good draft prospects. I think Trevor Lawrence is a surefire number one pick. Zach Wilson and Justin Fields, both of those guys are going to go in the top 5. And Trey Lance is probably a top 10 to 15 player at worst. And those are four really good quarterback prospects. And then Mac Jones and Kyle Trask, I'm not as high on, but those are probably back half of the first round, early second round guys, but they're not at the same skill set level as either of the four quarterbacks that I mentioned. You take the one that you like at 2. Don't overcomplicate this. And that's what we learned from last night. If you like Fields, okay, I'm fine with that. Draft him. Take him at 2. If the Jets decide they like Zach Wilson better, okay, draft him. And an argument that I've seen online that I absolutely can't stand is that you can't take Zach Wilson because he plays at BYU, or you can't take Justin Fields because he plays at Ohio State. And the comparison especially is Dwayne Haskins, which if you watch Dwayne Haskins play and if you watch Justin Fields play, they play nothing like each other, number one. And number two, the maturity was never there for Dwayne Haskins in the first place. And we've seen that so far in his tenure with Washington, where Justin Fields has been a killer teammate, and he has that killer instinct, for lack of a better word, on the field. He seems like a gamer, and I don't know. I don't think you can make it a wrong decision either way. Like, look at, Pat Mahomes went to Texas Tech. Is Texas Tech producing quarterbacks before Patrick Mahomes? Not really. Russell Wilson went to Wisconsin. Is that a quarterback youth school? No. Josh Allen. As much as I got on Josh Allen in the pre-draft prospect, he's playing at an MVP caliber pace right now. He went to Wyoming. Is Wyoming a big quarterback school? No. Roethlisberger went to Miami in Ohio. Is that a big quarterback school? No. You have to look at the individual prospect and throw out the window what school they play for. You have to watch their traits and how they play in certain situations and what they do well and what they don't, and ignore what school they play for, what color jersey they're wearing. That doesn't matter. What matters is the actual traits. And what we saw last night was that Justin Fields would absolutely be worthy of a number 2 pick. And you can take whichever one you prefer. And just because someone likes Zach Wilson as quarterback 2 doesn't mean they hate Justin Fields. I don't hate Justin Fields. I think he's going to be a great player at the next level. I think he's a great draft prospect. And I would not be upset either way if they went with Justin Fields or with Zach Wilson at pick number 2. The only thing that would upset me is trading back or taking Penei Sewell at 2, because that is a misallocation of resources. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Were you excited about what you saw from Justin Fields? You can get at me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY. Make sure to subscribe if you're new. I'll talk to you next time.